Hey!
You.
Hey, you.
Hello.
Is that what you were going
Yeah,
for
so
then?
I was going to go, you
Okay.
are live, but yeah, you're doing the introduction.
We're not late, Chris. We were like a second late. It's fine. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the scheduled One versus One Me. I'm Cakes. That there is D.
Hello.
How are you? What you all been up to? How are you, Chuckles? D?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a very good day
Good.
today, actually. Chilling with the resin and my little experiment, so it was all good. What about
It
yourself? You been
looked
up to
really
much?
cool. Watching you play with resin, making
Yeah,
a
cool.
Sunday. I planted some peppers and some stripy tomatoes. So that was cool.
Nice.
It was yummy. Well, it
Excellent.
wasn't yummy. It's gonna be yummy, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hello, Chris. Hello, Madame Medusa. Hello, Vlad. How are you guys? How is everybody else? What y'all doing?
Yeah, sorry, let me get to chat. So yeah, how's it going? Those who just got helloed. So
Thank you
yeah,
for joining.
I'm experimenting a little bit with camera angles tonight, so you'll have to excuse me. He's so vain. He thought
Now
this
you've got
head
your ring
was
light.
about him, baby.
What's Send an adult. Send help. Beanhead. Hi, Beanhead.
Yo,
And
Beanhead.
hello, Jamie, as in my brother's girlfriend, Jamie.
The
Cool.
most beautiful woman in the world.
I told her that you said that, and she was like, I don't know what he means. I was all shiny, so I didn't think she was all shiny.
Yeah, your brother's got competition. Not much of competition, but
Hiya, Lee. How are you? Smoking some steaks on the grill, cherrywood and applewood. Cool. Okay. All right then.
nice.
It was really good to see Vlad last night. I'm not gonna lie, it was great. We haven't seen Vlad obviously in quite a while, so it was really nice catching up with him, seeing how he is.
No, sorry, he's just
You
made me
know,
really hungry. Like I'm, yeah, looking at that and I'm thinking, why did I just have a bloody 4 cheese pizza? Oh, just imagine a taste of that steak cooked on cherry wood and apple wood, man.
no.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, it
Great.
was awesome to see him last night as well. Yeah, yeah, no, that was great. And because we carried on talking for a little while afterwards as well, which was good. So
Oh, did you guys carry on talking after? Because I had to go. I was
yeah,
exhausted. I was so tired. So normally me and D chat for a little bit after. And I probably only managed to stay for about 8 minutes, and I was like, "Nah, fam, I'm going. Goodbye."
yeah. No, I only made it another 45 minutes or so after that myself because it was late and we'd had a long old day there. But yeah.
Well, you were all, like.
Oh, I wasn't. See, I was being all nice and discreet about it until you brought it up.
She's back hurting, yeah. No, yeah, but I know you, Chuckles. I know you. Um, so how are you guys? I know we saw most of you yesterday. I see most of the same faces. That doesn't make sense. Most of the same names from yesterday. How are you?
Sabotage.
I knew what I meant. I assume you guys are all good from yesterday. Nothing bad's happened. Hopefully. Um, so I'm going to jump into it because you're probably like, what does 2020 versus 1980 mean? And it kind of stems from a little bit that we touched on last night, about how things were when we were bringing our kids up back then compared to bringing them up now. And it made me think of the kind of consumerist society that we're in right now compared to how we were back when D was a lad. Don't know what that was.
Many moons ago.
Um, and yeah, I just was really thinking about how much packaging we use now, how much like chopped things, chopped up vegetables, and like you can buy mushrooms pre-sliced. Like I don't understand why we need mushrooms that are pre-sliced, and like stir fries in a bag. Like, are y'all too lazy to chop up some peppers? I don't understand. Y'all too lazy?
Reaching out to the American audience there.
Well, no, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Do Americans have pre-sliced garbage in packaging?
Y'all.
I don't know. Do y'all have? I'm not very good with accents. I'm not going to try. I should say I'm going to stop now. Yeah. So it baffles me the difference that we have now. Milk comes in plastic or cartons, whereas it used to come in milk bottles. We used to have milk and orange juice delivered to my front door when I was little. We'd have both of them in glass bottles, and you'd send them back, and you know.
One of the first jobs I did illegally was help a milkman out on his delivery route. It was a few of us kids used to give us like £1.50, which was an absolute fortune for us back then.
Of course.
Absolute fortune, and yeah, it was a good old John.
Oh, we've got Mick here. Hiya, milk. Hiya, milk.
Yo, Mick, how's it going, milk?
Jamie says her biggest pet hate, just chop the bloody vegetables. I agree. They are pre-sliced because Jamie does not know how to cut things. Okay.
Right way round. Yeah.
So yeah, you wouldn't have had pre-sliced stuff back then, would you? I mean, do you ever remember seeing?
I have no memory. I mean, I am literally old enough to remember seasonal eating.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we were talking about it briefly on the phone earlier, weren't we?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was, I mean, through the 80s and stuff is when they really started pushing all the like processed stuff really heavy and that. So we did have like the Findus crispy pancakes, and we had our version of the unhealthy food as well. But I mean, on the whole, most of it you were pretty much forced to eat healthy because that's what all there was on sale. So
yeah. I mean, I think the biggest pre-sliced veg that does my head in the most, that makes me the angriest, is where you get the florets of broccoli and cauliflower chopped up and then sealed into a bag. Who can't chop up broccoli? Why do we need
again?
Why do we need this? I don't understand.
Unless you don't want to invest in a nice sharp knife or something, and you'd rather just spend all that extra cash you gain by not spending out 15 quid on a decent knife for a week's worth of veggies.
I can't even. Stop Lying said Beanhead has just been trolling Jamie. Block him. No, not at all.
It's all right. Chris has put the right response to that. Yeah.
We don't have free spirit here. We don't have free spirit here blocking things with her little wrench. So don't worry, nobody will be blocked. You won't be. My cat's on the keyboard. You won't be. I don't care what you say in the chat. Carry on. It's up to you. Whatever you want to say.
We will either respond or not respond as we see so fit.
Yep. So yeah. Back in the day, there was loads of differences. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you remember seeing ready meals much?
Not much. I mean, it was a thing because during the 80s, obviously, that's when the big push came, especially for American TV and stuff about TV dinners and that. So yeah, they were definitely coming into play. They were within my consciousness. But yeah, no, my mum was fresh cooked pretty much every day.
Yeah.
I mean, if we ate anyway, we didn't always eat every day. That was another thing nowadays you kids got used to, actually eating every day.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna, my mum, 80s crap food was healthy, was Happy Shopper.
Yeah, I do remember Happy Shopper coming in, yeah.
Oh, that's an actual thing. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know what Happy Shopper is. What was
still
Happy
a thing
Shopper?
today. Happy Shopper is still a thing today, but it was like the first budget brand, basically. It was like the first, where you could, it was half the price of like the branded stuff, really. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because nowadays there's full aisles for pre-packaged ready meals ready to go, and I mean they can be helpful, when you're at work and you can't you've had no time. I get it. You can have, you may need them, but I don't remember when I last ate a ready meal. Honestly, I can't. It's got to have been a very, very long time since.
Yeah, no, I could, like I say, I eat crap myself, but
Yeah.
ready meals are not on my agenda, basically on my agenda, on
Your shopping
menu
list.
list, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. My mum has always taught me how to cook, but there's a lot of people, and this is why we put it 2020, because I think I'm quite different to. I think I'm quite different to most people of my generation, or a lot of people of my generation, where they don't know how to cook. They were never taught how to cook. They just know how to stab some film, some cellophane, and bang it in the microwave. You know. I mean, that's what Dan would consider cooking, isn't it, babe?
What? You giving out about me and the way I lived in my shed?
No, I'm not giving out about you and the way you lived in your shed. I'm saying that's what you would cook, was just you'd stab some.
I can unplastic a pizza.
You can unplastic a pizza. There we go.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I unplastic to pizza myself tonight, so yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
perfect.
well, no, nobody's perfect. Don't be ridiculous. Dan says he's perfect. Okay. But yeah, so there's a lot of differences between back then and now.
Yeah.
And I think one of those as well is having a stable family you'd have those kind of, would you, no, don't shake your head, but I mean, back then,
you were kind of right. That was a nod shake. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You'd have those family values where the mum would teach the kids how to cook, and the mum would maybe like show them how to cook bread and stuff, because the kids can get involved in like punching some dough, you know. Whereas I feel a lot now we're all too busy to teach our kids real life skills and real life things that they would have learnt back then.
Yeah, I think that's a cop out personally. Like I say, I mean, a lot of the reason my mum was never about was because she was working a lot. So I mean, she was busy because she was a single mum, right? I mean, she had to be, and yeah, I mean, we were one of the few divorced families. There's only like 2 or 3 on the whole street that were divorced at the time, so we were in the minority, and that's why I kind of shook and like hid my head a bit. Yeah. I mean, she had men in her life at times, don't get me wrong, but it was, yeah. But yes, this is the thing. I mean, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't some bit like, oh, we're going to teach you how to do this today, or teach you how to do that today. You need to learn how to do this. You need to learn how to do that. It was just, you were helping out in the kitchen because that's what kids did. Kids were helped out. They did all the bits that made everything easier. And by being around the cooking and helping the cooking, maybe peeling the potatoes and all that, you just generally learn what needs to be done and you do it. It was never a lesson. It was just a learned thing. Yeah.
But now I think they're kind of pawned off onto technology a little bit more, you know?
Well, this is the thing that now, see, parents just don't want their kids around them, it seems to me.
No.
Yeah, so it's the old babysitter. It used to be the TV back in my day. Now you've got your tablets and your phones and all that kind of stuff. But it's still the same principle. Like your kids need to learn all this stuff. I mean, even nowadays, like if you're not cooking properly, if you're just chucking stuff in the microwave, have your kid there next to you so they know how to do it in a few years. Otherwise, they're not even going to be able to do that. I mean, like it's just your kids learn from you primarily. All right, the fucking indoctrination systems take over and stuff as well, but yeah, if your kids aren't acting the way you want them to, learning from you and all that kind of stuff, it's probably because you're pushing them away a little bit, because it's easy to with technology nowadays, and kids are being geared towards wanting that technology and not wanting that one-on-one time anymore. So I know it can't be easy for today's parents. It can't. There's so much more choice nowadays, so much more to do.
There is, but I mean, so you know, Freddie's got a Google Home. You saw Freddie earlier with his Switch. You know, Freddie's got his Google Home and he's got his Nintendo Switch. But this afternoon, Freddie was more than happy to put all of those things down and come and do the planting the peppers and planting the tomatoes with me. He was more than happy to help me do that. He popped all the seeds on, and you know, he wanted to get involved and he wanted to learn. And now I don't know if that's because both me and my mum have kind of instilled this working together kind of thing.
Don't know if that's cool. Don't know if that's going to start then. Sorry, there's my two girls. That's from ages ago, so I know they won't. Well, no, that's my youngest. That's my oldest. She'll be probably pissed off if she sees this because she don't like her cat flirt. But that's my two girls, and that's like that's when they were still at school. Neither of them are at school anymore.
So just to quickly catch up on the chat, Jamie's just said, I think the problem seems to be that ready meals and pre-chopped veg are often cheaper than fresh ingredients, and I think that's very true. Chips and all of the stuff that you can get in the freezer is cheaper than, like, fruit is ridiculously expensive. If I want to make a nice fruit salad with like some melon and papaya and a mango, like that's going to cost me as much as it would cost me a meal.
Yeah, but we got to remember, you're paying for just a one portion. When you're buying your fruits and veggies, you're not making just one portion. Like you can't buy an apple, an orange, and just make one portion of fruit fruit cocktail from it. That would make 2 or 3 portions. So you can't buy a small enough amount of fruit individually to make it economical, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and it can be a bonus in some, just be able to pick up a portion. But again, you're only getting it cheap because they're buying in bulk or growing in bulk and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Barbie's here. Hiya, Barbie. My housemate buys frozen chopped onions for 80p for 500 grams, which is apparently cheaper than buying an onion, which we know is not. 80p for 500 grams
for an onion around my way.
Yeah, I'd have to get my receipt, but we buy the loose onions because they're usually. Where was I saying this, or was I saying it to Dan? I was saying it to Dan. We were in the shop, and Dan went to go pick up some organic onions, and I was like, no, don't grab those ones, because they were already in a bag, like not a plastic bag. It was in like the net, but the net's still plastic
net. Yeah.
Yeah. So I says, no, grab the normal onions that we do, which is the loose onions, and pop them in. You know, the string bag that I showed you all the other week.
Sorry, that was a funny one. I like that. I had a little belly chuckle.
So we always buy loose veggies anyway, because I find it easier. You can pick exactly what you want. Barbie says people want things super simple these days, I think, and use the word cheaper to comfort themselves. Yeah, I think also, and it goes back to eating seasonally as well. I think if we ate seasonally, vegetables would be cheaper, and then people wouldn't be able to use the whole, well, this is cheaper. You know, people.
See, don't get me wrong. Food was a lot more expensive in the past. Like when I was a kid, you got a lot less bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but it was all fresh though, completely fresh. I mean, when you bought fruit, it lasted a month. It didn't last a week. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it didn't, like, things just lasted longer. So you weren't always buying stuff, and you weren't always chucking stuff away because it had gone off before you expected it and stuff. But it was all, like I say, it was quality. You were paying for quality. Nowadays, cheap is the word, unfortunately.
Yeah, everything is cheap. And I remember we were talking about similar things with Jed well before Christmas, and we were saying that if you want to buy a handcrafted card, you're going to spend £3 to £5 on a handcrafted birthday card. But if you go to like the card factory,
sorry,
a boutique card. But if you go to the card factory, you can get cards for like 19p in the card factory. You know, we've lost the worth of products. I think everything's just about getting it through the door. You watch all these shows about how many bananas and how many things are thrown away because they don't look the way that people think they should look. I mean, does it fucking matter? If you don't like the way it looks, chop it up.
Yeah.
You know? mush it up.
Well, again, you've got to wonder why you don't like the way it looks. Have you been programmed to think that it has to be uniform to look nice? And yeah.
Jamie's put, it comes from overseas a lot of the time, so we can eat off season. So it has a massive carbon footprint. It does, but I think because so in order for us to eat food all year round, the price of that food has to go up, but they're not going to fluctuate the price throughout the year. So instead of us just eating seasonally, let's say sprouts, for example, they're a winter veg, but you can pick them up in the shop all year round. You can pick them up all the time. So instead of them being, let's say, 20 to 30p over Christmas and over the winter period, so like November to February, instead of them being cheaper around then or only available then, they put the price up to kind of cover the cost of how much it would ship. So the shops would make more money on these products over the winter because they could be grown in England and they'd be cheaper that way, you know. And I think if we did eat seasonally, we'd be lots better.
Well, see this right. Why do you like when you're talking Christmas meals? Because you just brought up Brussels sprouts. That's a vegetable that's associated with a Christmas meal. Like you have your sprouts for Christmas meal. Well, the reason that is because we used to eat seasonally, and that's one of the veggies that was in season. So it's nothing to do with.
That's why I picked sprouts, because Mum used to actually grow sprouts in the back garden, and I remember she'd pick them off at Christmas, and then we as kids would peel them off the stalk as part of helping my mum, you know. I can always remember helping my mum with Sunday dinners, you know. Barbie said, what do you think about people not being as skilled with their hands anymore? I think this is purposeful, and so folks can't be self-reliant. I think that there's lots of factors that made us not want to be self-reliant. And before Dee, I know you've got a point here, but car mechanics are losing in trade because like scrap, We Buy Any Car and like Sell for Scrap initiative has taken off. People are like, well, fuck it, I'll scrap my car, get some money and get a new one instead of fixing a car that's probably okay. And go Dee, go.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of brushed on to the point. Yeah, it's not so much that people don't use their hands anymore. They don't have the opportunity to use their hands as much anymore. It's like my dad was a carpenter. His brothers and stuff, that they were like in building trades and all this kind of stuff. Don't get wrong, but all right, one of my brothers, he's a builder himself. So yeah, he's quite hands-on. So don't get wrong, it's not completely gone, but it's a lot less. There's not the opportunity out there anymore unless you want to be a builder, because most of the manufacturing trades in the Western countries have gone because of outsourcing to cheaper places. Yeah, so again, there's just not the opportunity to be as hands-on. I mean, in my life, like around this area, trying to get jobs and stuff, because myself always worked in factories and that kind of thing, but food factories, pick your owns, all that kind of stuff, until I got into Royal Mail. And yeah, there was never any opportunity for me to really do any skilled work. It didn't have the like apprentice programs and stuff back then that we had today, unless you was in the right area for it. And I obviously wasn't.
And I think that people have, in most cases, it's cheaper to buy a new thing than it is to go and get it fixed. So all of those trades, like if our table broke right now, I don't think I'd probably try and fix it, to be perfectly honest. But if I couldn't fix it, there would be no point in me going to find somebody to fix the table. There'd be no point, because I would buy a table cheaper. You know, I could get a new table for less money, and I think that's you know. And here Barbie just said, I make my own soup, laundry soap, and many other things. Yeah, so I before I started working at Lush, I used to make myself and Jamie, who's in the comments, I used to make both of us facial moisturizers. I used to make all my own body scrubs, facial scrubs out of vitamin E oil and almond oil and aloe vera, stuff like that I could get my hands on. And I taught myself through YouTube. I mean, you guys have seen the amount of things that I've taught myself how to do. Or to be fair, I don't think you actually have, but I taught myself how to make dreadlocks. So dreadlocks, you buy dreadlocks that I make for about between 70 and 120, 130 quid. But if I make them, it probably costs me less than £20 to make my own dreadlocks. And then an installation, it's between £30 to £60. Now, I know that I'm one of the only people in Birmingham that will actually do a dreadlock installation because nobody knows how to do them. But I was just like, I ain't spending 120 quid on dreadlocks. You can fuck off. I'll make them myself. Like, you've seen my nails. I mean, I haven't got them in right now because I've been doing my gardening. But you saw that I've taught myself how to do nails. D, look at this stuff that you taught yourself how to do.
Yeah, all this resin stuff is inspired by YouTube. I've taught myself a guitar on YouTube. Well, I've had a bit of help from a couple of real life people as well along the way. But yeah, it's all good.
Implying I'm not real.
Huh?
I said implying I'm not real life.
No, you're just an icon on the screen. You don't really exist.
I'm an icon. Woo! Hello, ego.
To the most egotistical use of the word icon.
This is very good to hear, Cakes. I knew you are clever. I am. But no, I just don't see the point in outsourcing something that I want when I could probably just order the ingredients and make whatever it is that I want to make. And that's my dad. That's always been what my dad has taught me. Like, my mum had her kitchen redone. She got people in to do it, whereas my dad was like, I want a new kitchen, let's go do it. So my dad taught me how to use circular saw, which I don't think he should have, because I don't think I should be allowed to operate a circular saw, to be perfectly honest. But I know how to do it. I have circular saw to worktop. Dad taught me how plastering, tiling, he taught me all of those things. So I think my dad's always kind of instilled that want to make things and want to be able to use my hands. I mean, the only thing I'd be nervous about is fixing a car, because I'd be scared that something would clamp onto my finger and I'd lose a finger. Putting my fingers into things that could clamp down is bear traps is the only thing that comes to mind, but I wouldn't go putting my hand in a bear trap, so I don't think that's wise.
No. But I mean, you're lucky, really. Like I say, yeah. Unfortunately, like I say, as a kid, I've saw my dad twice a year, so I didn't really have that kind of experience with it, really. And it was never really passed on to me. So I've never really been hands-on. So I'm always really proud of myself nowadays. Like when I've got this flat pack desk, this computer's on and stuff, and I managed to put it all together myself and stuff. I was like, score, yeah. So. I mean, and the whole hands-on thing, it really is. It's something we should all try and do something, do anything.
Yeah.
I'm finding this just creative side of things. I'm starting to think artistically, and I hate it because I sound so fucking
poncy.
I'm an artist now. No, I'm a fuck. I just do stuff, and
make it pretty. Yeah, why not? Chris said, I used to be a carpenter. Saw a load of my old tools in my mum's shed the other day, and it brings back memories. I bet it does. I bet you miss it as well. Said a pumping iron. And Barbie said, yes, my parents did everything. I teach my kids the same. I worry about this mentality fading. And that was kind of my point behind this video, was that I am lucky that both my parents taught me how to not have to rely on other people if I want to know something. Like my dad taught us, before Google was much. I mean, Google's always been a thing in my lifetime, but he had encyclopedias and things. If you want to know something, go and find the answer. Go and look for it. Don't just assume that the answer's out of your reach. Just go and grab it. And I think that's often a problem in today's society, is that we're kind of losing that problem solving, that want to look after ourselves. And exactly, it's a throwaway society now. It really is. Really is a throwaway society.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm glad about my ex. Like, she did get the girls in the like kitchen, teaching them how to do everything. And I'm not saying that that's like sexist way. We had girls. Like, my ex used to enjoy being in the kitchen cooking. So, I mean, yeah, and so they're both pretty self-sufficient in that kind of way. Whenever I was like fixing bits for them and stuff, I'd always let them watch and maybe try and help out if they could and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I can't say I've really done everything I should have done maybe, but there's definitely a little bit more effort in things again than I see in parents today, with just handing tablets to their kids and saying go and sit and amuse yourself.
And you see so many kids using the tablets to get to sleep and other stuff, and it's sad. Well, they shouldn't be.
One of my mum's friends, one of the ladies who she looks after one of her kids for every so often, well, she's managed to get herself a 5-bedroom house now, so she'd be moving away. Once she moves away and takes her 5 kids with her, there's going to be nobody out playing here. They're literally the only kids that play out on this street. There's a park literally just across the way. Very rarely anyone in it. Very rarely anyone in it. And yeah, once his family moves away, it's going to be crazy. And this is another thing, like I say, it's just because I do see it. Like I say, she is one of these people, that doesn't rely on tablets. She's a vegan herself. She's into all this healthy lifestyle stuff and all that kind of stuff. And but I just this is going to be a lot quieter street when she moves away, I think. So I can see you looking at chat. I'm
reading the chat, but what I'm also finding more funny is that our thumbs down, they keep ticking. Look at the thumbs down. They keep ticking down and down and down. And I can only imagine, because we're at 17, so I can only imagine that that is Vegan Realist has sent people over to us to downvote us. Because
he's not that petty. He's not that petty.
Well, I can't imagine there being any other reason for why it would be at 18 right now.
It could be the fact that people don't like the fact we got into the drama shit.
Maybe, possibly, but there's no downvotes on our other video. So anyway, but chat was very interesting. So Vlad's put the worldwide agenda is to make us dependent on the government. And then Barbie said, when the shit hits the fan, how many will survive as a result of the powers at be are basically teaching folks now. Chris then says, soon growing your own veg will be illegal, deemed unsafe. And Barbie said it's actually illegal in some places now. Parts of California, you can't even have a window herb garden, says Vlad. Yeah.
How do people see? This is the thing. You people let it become illegal. There's no way. Honestly, if they tried to make us not be able to grow veg in this little village, like Christ, we'd all stand up in arms. Like, I mean, there's allotments all over the bloody place. Like,
And then Jamie says, "Why is it illegal?" Vlad replied with, "They say it's wasting water."
All right, the whole water angle. Yeah, I can see him using that. Yeah.
So community garden and giving food to others can be illegal.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess that one. Yeah, so community garden.
Wow. Did you want to drop the link? See what if people want to pop on, see what they think, what they want to say. Pop it out now. We've been on for 35 minutes. Get some people on if they want to join.
Yeah, just to say, I probably will be shutting it down at 11 tonight, purely because
women on. I'm sleepy. Huh?
So there you go. If anyone wants to join, I'll try and keep an eye out for you.
feel free to join. What was the other one that I was going to mention? Oh, it was to do with gardening, actually. Was that I can remember my nan. My nan passed away 2 years ago, but she had this amazing garden. She had a massive polytunnel inside the garden, and loads of other stuff there. Growing, she fucking grew everything. My nan did. It was great. And so did my mum. My mum, when I was younger, my mum was always gardening. We'd always have rhubarb. So we'd always have apple and rhubarb. Next door, there's an apple tree. So what falls on our side, we always have. That's legal. And yeah, so we'd always have apple and rhubarb crumble all the time. And my mum would be growing loads of different things. But I don't see that. I don't see people my age wanting to grow things. I don't see people of my age wanting to be self-sufficient or as self-sufficient as they can, even if it's just self-sufficient in onions, you know? It's like we've lost that.
This kind of does come back down to spoiltness. And it's not just a generational thing. It's spread. It's spread to my generation like before me, and so on. It's not just stuck in this. So we've got Vlad here. Hello, Vlad. How's it going, man?
What's up?
Vlad, good to see you again.
What's that?
It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just ate that steak. It was fucking delicious.
I'm going to have to disagree.
I just knew it would be after being cooked on that, man. What was it? Cherry wood and apple wood?
Yeah.
So
I don't have to worry about my girlfriend leaving me because she just ate it and she just loved it. She savored it. She savored it. I just threw it down my throat hole.
Oh. Yeah, when Dan eats, it doesn't hit the side.
Hello, Barbie. Barbie as well. Welcome.
Hi.
So how do you guys feel
about
what we're talking about?
Well, yeah, I was wanting to put some input. I didn't want to type it all. I think what they have it set up is so that you have to be dependent on the government, like I said, and so they restrict everything because there's parts I don't know about over there. I thought that would be like really bad over there in Europe, but here in the United States, especially like in New York and California, you can't do a lot of stuff, even not only in your backyard but in your windowsill. If you get caught with that, like that herb garden, which is just parsley, cilantro, whatever, just herbs. You can get in trouble for that. You get fined for that, and you get put in jail after multiple fines. So you can't even do that. No, that's not even in the ground where you have a lot of water, and they do that. So if you see the stories like that every once in a while, you see stories about people getting in trouble for that. They've banned community gardens obviously altogether. But it's terrible what they're doing with that. So yeah, you can't be self-sufficient even in a small scale. You don't even have to be like acres and acres. You can't even have a little windowsill thing.
That's
It really does.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point because I don't know if you are aware of something called hydrologic despotism, but it's like it's been used in history several times where the water source is cut off from the people. The food is cut off from the people, and then the people can't survive because you're solely dependent on this source. And this is something that I think over the last 6 years, maybe around 6 years, I've been kind of observing here. And Vlad even said about the gardens, there are actually videos of police going to community gardens and jerking up everything. And they're basically, I haven't heard the water excuse. However, what I have heard, because I owned restaurants in the past, is the old restaurant excuse where when you're done cooking food, you can't give it to other people because they might get sick from your food.
Even though you just served it to a couple hundred people in that day.
It's insanity, and that's why I was saying something about the hands and how powerful these are.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how powerful just this is. And if you don't have to rely on your hands to like make some soap or plant a seed, or what happens when all of a sudden you're told, oh, well, guess what, guys? We don't have any more food, because the simple fact is, and you can check my words on this, there's not one country in the world that can feed its own country on what they produce in that country.
Yeah.
So you have all these import-export laws that prevent a country from taking care of its own people. And I just, call me like a conspirator. But I said years ago that the largest conspiracy there is your food and water.
Yeah.
I mean,
was it like 72% of the earth is covered with water?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's flat or round. It's still 72%. That there's land versus water is 72%. So and there's ways I've been looking at stuff because I wanted to try to do it myself, because you can do it in small scale. So why can't you do it in large scale of taking salt out of water? So the whole thing with water scarce is a hoax, because there's ways you can take the salt not only by steaming it, doing the distilling thing, and it takes the salt out. You can filter out the salt too, because it's a bigger molecule than water is. You can still do it. So they do it. They still let the public know that because if they did, then the water wouldn't have the value it does, because you can just go to the ocean. And, that's what I was saying about California. They say there's a water shortage in California. The whole freaking left side, or is it left side? Whatever side of all of California, one side of it's water. It's like, how the hell is there a water shortage in California? I can see in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is right in the middle of the country. But how the hell is there a water shortage in California?
There's not, because if you can Google this as well. I'm not sure which country this water is being provided to, because it's been a while since I looked at this. However, there is this ship that they made for this country that was having water problems. And what this ship does is it takes the ocean water, it makes it drinkable, and it sends it back to these people.
There you go.
And it's unbelievable when you understand that this is being done. But they tell you, oh my God, there's a shortage of water. Don't plant a seed and give it to your neighbor. Then you kind of see the insanity in food and water and the control mechanism that's there.
Yeah, I imagine they'd cite cost as a reason why they don't do it. They say it'd be too expensive to distill all that water or filter all that water. And
that's why I say
maybe this boat that can do this, but I imagine the cost of that water is astronomical.
Well, check this out. Instead of putting all our money into NASA, which I'm thinking everybody's saying that there's no reason for us to be out in space, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter. We don't need to be out there. So
yeah, we can't survive out there.
The gazillions of dollars that's gone into NASA should go into that, into water processing and food production, and efficiently, however they want to look at it. And check this out. I was thinking this too, because I'm like obsessed with Google Maps. So I'm like looking everywhere in the world. There's different spots, the cities, and then you go and look everywhere. There's trees and stuff like that, like the rainforest. And I was looking too, the rainforest, it's only like not even 2% of the rainforest is being used for agriculture. So you still got, it's just mass amounts of this rainforest that, they're crying about. It's not destroying the rainforest with all this agriculture and stuff. That's a hoax in itself, because they couldn't even, if they even did it nonstop and just kept on going, they couldn't even cut into the rainforest. As huge as it is, it's insane how huge it is. And we're such a small little speck of it, just a little bit that we're doing. It's not even affecting it at all. So that's a hoax in itself too. I was finding out, because you can look on the Google Maps and it's just trees everywhere. There's not like big, massive patches of agriculture. And when you see them, you got to zoom in real close, and it's just like a little speck. So that's all.
Yeah, it was Jed the other week who was saying like we have more forests and stuff now than we did like 150 years ago and stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean,
there is problems with agriculture. When you speak about agriculture and you speak about farming, you're actually dealing with two different things. I think that this was something I kind of put in the comments last week. Agriculture, the problem with agriculture is that they clear enormous patches of land, and they also destroy the substructure around the land, because what botanists know is that plants actually talk to each other from miles away. This might sound silly, but again, you can check it.
I know that.
And so,
that's why I push. I want to cut you off, and that's why I always push that. The animals have feelings, or plants have feelings too. So the whole vegan thing is moot because they want to worry about animals' feelings. Like, well, plants have feelings too, and I say they do communicate with each other. And
absolutely.
The other thing is they're immobile. They're stuck in one spot, but they do have reactions to things. They've tested this for. I mean, they started doing stuff back in the 30s of them have plants and trees and everything. That responds. So yeah, just agree with what you're saying.
And in fact, when they were doing all these tests in the 30s and early 40s, they understood the what is the word I want? They understood the devastation of agriculture. They understood that if you destroyed the substructure of the plant. So if I plant a garden out in my yard and I've got like trees surrounding me, which I do, then the garden is going to be okay every year, year after year after year. The ground is going to be plantable. A seed, you can throw it out the door, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
But when you go and clear everything from around, and they talk about, well, after 7 years, the ground is sour. Yes. And they knew this in the 30s and early 40s. They understood what agriculture, the problem that we have created with it. I'm not saying farming. Farming is something different. It's when, even if you have a large farm, but it's when each individual basically sows their land and grows a plant, and then the next year they do it again. And I'm not saying anything bad about veganism. I was a vegan for over 3 years. And then I just started realizing, okay, there's this, there's this, there's this, there's this. In other words, the world has a cycle.
Yeah.
And it had a cycle before we got here. It will have a cycle when we leave. I think that there could be more interference to that cycle by being vegan. And I know that's going to be really hard for a lot of people who are vegan to absorb, and due respect to you, because it's a commitment.
Well, see, now this is Barbie. Just to add to what you're saying, see, I'm trying to find this information again. I did a video. Remember back in about 3 years ago, I did a video about the overpopulation was a hoax, because I figured out all the livable land that they say there is. I only go by what they say there is, and even with 7 billion people, and you scattered everybody out, you could have, it was like 1.3 square miles, which is 865 acres per person. Not per family, per person. Yeah. So if you spread everybody out that way, and you did like what you're saying, you don't have all these big giant areas of agriculture or farming. You can have them in little patches. It'd be like what you're saying about your garden, where it would be the trees around, and you wouldn't have this big old scarce land of agriculture. So if you patched it all out a certain way, it would be efficient in that way, and it wouldn't destroy everything, because, like you said, the plants would communicate and be okay with growing. And then even if after these years it starts depleting the soil, you can move it over some, and then let that soil that you just depleted regrow itself or regenerate whatever it has to do. So there's a way of technique of doing it. That's not what they're doing. They're just killing it. They're just killing it, and then they move. And then the third thing is, so you say that is years after that ground that they depleted, it does come back some, but they, that as much as it can because of the stuff that's already there. So yeah, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, and I just want to add to that because I've been really looking into this because the whole, I said, overpopulation thing. It was crazy when you think about that, and I need to find out information again. Somehow I lost it. I can't find it anywhere, at least in my file.
It's like, as much as like 1.8 miles each sounds amazing, like sounds great. Like we wouldn't have iPhones, we wouldn't have all these amazing things we have today if we lived like that, because people wouldn't have come together and they wouldn't have clashed minds, they wouldn't have lived in groups where they've had to overcome struggles. And again, I'm not all for the way we live now. I'm just saying we wouldn't have what we have now. Like the whole technological revolution probably never would have happened if we did live like that. Well, a lot of people don't want like a lot of people are quite happy with the way things are. So.
Because I think we would need that more because we would be more spread out. So we'd need a communication stuff. Like right now, I mean, Barbie, you're in what part of the United States?
South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm in Alabama. You guys are in the UK, so they got far apart. We're still communicating.
Why would I need
awesome.
to know what you knew about agriculture and living on my 1.8 miles of land if my 1.8 miles of land is in a completely different place than yours, so would have no bearing on your knowledge of your land? So, I mean, again, there just wouldn't be that need to reach out. You don't need to live in the local area. You don't need to reach out to that local group to keep your local area sorted.
Yeah, but the thing is, you wouldn't be able to grow everything that you wanted or needed. That was another thing. Like with the farmers markets, that was the whole point of farmers markets, because you couldn't grow like every fruit and vegetable on your land, so you would go and trade with other farmers. That was the whole point of farmer. Well, the original version of it is they traded out stuff that they had, made 4 or 5 things, but they took those 4 or 5 things and went and traded it with somebody else that had 4 or 5 things that they couldn't do and didn't do. So there was this trade thing, which I don't want to go back to that because then that's the whole hippie thing. And I'm not a fan of the whole hippie thing.
I'd rather live like, say, trade for a trade.
Yeah, I know. That'd be to an extent, but I'm just saying that starts carrying over to that whole thing. Let's get rid of money and all this stuff like that. Which I don't know. I think if you were efficient enough, you can go and swap out some stuff, but it wouldn't be where. What was I saying? Fuck. I already lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Well,
you want the whole money trading it out.
Let me pick up on what Barbie was saying a minute ago about agriculture, and you talking about the vegans are causing more. Is it not true that a lot of the trees and stuff that are being cut down over in the Amazon, I'm attached to wires, in the Amazon rainforest, is that not true that a lot of that is going towards feeding animals that you guys would then eat? Because it takes a lot more vegetation to feed an animal than it does to feed me.
Well, not right. Before we go on, I never chuck away any meat. Never chuck away any meat ever, yeah? All the meat I buy gets eaten. Mm-hmm. Never chucked away meat, yeah? How much meat are you chucking away? Or how much veggies are you chucking away? Or not you personally, I'm talking like you as in humanity. Because it's like 40%. We literally chuck away 40% of our food.
Yeah.
So if we weren't chucking away 40% of our food, maybe we wouldn't need all that new land taken over to keep providing us with more food, is what I'm saying. But yeah.
And the other thing is that soy and coconut and almond and all the other plant-based milks, they take up a lot of space, and they have cut down a lot of trees to build on those. So there is an example. Like I am vegan. I'm vegan more for the animals than I am for the environment. Just because when you were talking about plants having feelings, I thought, well, yeah, but a farmer would look after on the mass-produced scale, a farmer is going to take more care over vegetables than they are meat. Like, you've seen mistreatment of animals but how often do you see a farmer just rip off a tomato and throw it on the floor? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you see that very often.
Well, the
compared
bad ones they do. The bad ones they do.
You could
put
it that way, or you could say that mistreatment of mass growth of plants have caused a devastating spray to be put on these plants, a poison. Again, I look, I was vegan.
No,
I
know you
love
were.
my animals. I have a lot of animals. But what I began to realize is that we live in a place that nature seems to have a way. We are the problem.
Oh yeah.
Nature isn't the problem. I don't agree with like the chicken farms, and I've seen all the videos, Cakes. Been there, been in tears going, oh my God, they're grinding baby chicks.
Yeah.
And I also looked at them spraying plants that I was eating with poison going, oh my God, they're poisoning plants too.
Yeah.
Which in turn poisons the bees, like we were saying last week, which is ridiculous.
Hey, have you guys seen that video of those vegans or the activists? I would say they're activists, and they went into this chicken, or I think it was a turkey farm, and the conveyor thing. They had these hooks. They hook the turkey on after they kill them, and they go into a processing plant and they defeather them. Well, they went there and put these bike locks, the U-bolt light or the U locks. The ones that are like shaped like a U, and it like locks on like that. They put their underneath and then lock themselves on there so they wouldn't do it. And then the people inside turned the machine on, and they're all yank like that. And they almost killed one guy. I mean, it was like he was like stuck between a pole and almost died. But they went and they had a big ring of keys, so they're going through all the keys trying to unlock that one guy's thing. And he almost choked to death over that. Yeah, video of this. It was crazy. I was like, what are these idiots doing?
Ridiculous. I mean, I get the whole idea. However, we can sit here and talk about how great it is, the technology, and you can talk to me and I can talk to you, and you're where you're at and I'm where I'm at, and I think it's great. Mm-hmm. There was a time when we didn't rely on freaking someone hundreds and thousands of miles away to put food on our freaking plates. And this is the point where we're at now. Now, if I raised animals for slaughter, which I won't, if I did, we wouldn't be seeing all this crazy, cruel, inhumane treatment. So at the end of the day, we can say, oh, these people are horrible to animals, and oh, these people spray plants, when the responsibility actually lies with the people who are putting the food on the plate. It's me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go out and kill my supper. I don't know.
No, but that's what I was going to say. When you were talking about the 1.8 miles of land, and I was just sat here thinking, and I was like, well, that would, the problem that I see personally is mass agriculture, mass farming. Whenever you add mass to something at the beginning, whether it be midnight mass, I get that that's at the end, or whether it be, whatever, when something is done in mass, you lose the quality and you lose that human connection as well. So everything, like you were just saying, they're all the plants are sprayed with garbage. But if you just had people living in these 1.8 miles, then or whatever, even if people had just 100 acres of land, then I could grow a certain amount of veggies, and so I could grow like salady stuff, and you could grow the Sunday veg, and we could swap over, or and everything would be done on a much smaller scale. And I just think that we'd destroy that stuff. And obviously it's a pipe dream, it's rose tinted glasses.
Well, that's the thing.
It's not a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. That's how that's how it all started, if we're to believe mainstream history. Right. The reason the world is the way it is today is exactly what Barbie said, because we want it this way, and not necessarily us sat here, but the majority of people. This is what they want. This is the exact world they want to live in.
But you got to remember, if you have 865 acres to each person, you wouldn't use all that to agriculture. I mean, you would live on part of it, and you would farm out, or have some animals on some of it, and have some plants and vegetables and whatever it is. And you wouldn't use the whole 865 acres. I mean, that's a lot of land. But the point is, if it was spread out like that, it would null and void the whole point of it being this vast amount of area that is agriculture right now. It's just because you'd have little patches of stuff throughout all this, throughout the whole world, it'd be like that. So that would get rid of your problem with it, because the problem with mass agriculture is it's taking out huge areas of land at once, and so it would shrink that down to a smaller scale, and that's where it would be more efficient and more productive, I think.
Well, again, what it kind of comes back to what Barbara was saying earlier is again about doing it a different way as well. Instead of clearing out these massive swathes and destroying the whole natural ecology of the area, you just take out a little bit from one place, leave a little bit natural so the things can carry on, and you could stagger it a bit. So it could be done differently, and there are technologies. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Victor Schauberger and the whole water vortexing theory. Well, he also came up with a plow that when it plows the land, it folds the soil up in a certain way, so all the micro
nutrients
and everything stays in the correct layers. It doesn't mix all that up, so it can be used. You never have to not use that land. It's every time you plow it, you can carry on using it year after year after year.
Yeah, Jim, I want to plan on. I was watching what's her name, Daphne Rimmel. I think Barbie knows who that is. She's saying about how we're not supposed to be eating the whole vegan thing. You're not even supposed to be eating all these vegetables. And I'm thinking that the animals are supposed to eat the vegetables, and then we eat the animals. So I want to try to experiment. I think I'm going to start with lambs, because I never had lamb until recently, and lamb is really good. So I think I'm going to get a couple lambs and then raise them on nothing but vegetables and fruit. I'm going to have to try to do it at my own garden, because I want to buy them at the store, obviously, because then it's all the poisons and stuff. But experiment with that, and then see how much of a difference that the animal, that it does with the flavor of the animal. Because here, with the was it the Angus? Yeah, the Angus steak. They usually only feed them certain food. That's what makes them an Angus. The black Angus steaks here, or the Angus cow, the cattle, they have a certain diet. That's what makes them separate from everything else. So I think I just want to experiment with that. I looked into it. It's $125 for a female lamb, and it's like $50 for a male lamb. I guess because a female can reproduce. So I'm gonna try that and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's fair to say that we've gotten to the point, in society, and I can understand the anger of people who are vegan, of what the fuck are y'all doing to these fucking animals, dude? Because there was a time, I had some family that did a lot of farming in a couple states. And I can remember my uncle saying, okay, this is what we feed a chicken for months before you consider eating the chicken.
There you go.
And there's an absolutely specific reason for it. And now it's let's treat the chickens like shit. Let's shoot animals full of antibiotics. Let's offend people as much as we possibly can, while understanding that they have to go to the store and buy this. Or you can be like Lori Gale, God bless her, and go out and shoot a fucking deer.
Yeah.
And that's the question you have to ask people. Look, if you were hungry, are you willing to go out and trap a rabbit and cook it and eat it? Well, you better be, because then you're just becoming a part of the problem.
Yeah, I want to do that, but there's all the freaking restrictions on that stuff. You got to have a hunting license and stuff, and you're going shoot a certain, and in certain places it's got to be a certain age, and unless you understand all that. And you can't shoot the females. It's usually just the bucks, and then the bucks are only at certain times of the year. I mean, there's all kinds of restrictions on hunting. That's throughout the United States.
Yeah, and this is my concern with despotism and what we have to understand the place we've come to, where I can cut you off from everything. In fact, all I have to do is take your water. Never mind, can you plant a seed or shoot an animal? Just let me remove your water from your life and cut you off, and watch society become zombies, the zombie apocalypse, and destroy each
Australia
other.
now. Yeah, look at Australia now. That's exactly what they've done in Australia. They sold all their water off to China and other countries, and all their politicians own the water and all this kind of stuff, and there's none left for the people now. And now all the forests are on fire, and try and blame global warming all you want. It's nothing to do with global warming.
Not a thing.
People setting fires. How does that fall into play? That's part of climate change.
How embarrassing is that?
I was looking into that because I wanted to do a video about that. But it's only called like maybe 48 people to actually set fires. So 48 people set them fires. Because there's other ones that's like 200 people has been arrested, but that's like throwing cigarette butts out or having fires when they shouldn't have, which didn't it didn't cause the brush fires, but there was a fire ban there. And people are still making fires. So that's part of the arrest. And all these stupid leftists are saying, well, that's not accurate. It was like, well, 48 of the 200 did start fires. So what's that, 25%? 25% of them were, and that's why and that's all over Australia. So it's not just in one area. I mean, I was looking into this, and it's all over Australia that this is happening. So it's being deliberately set. So how's that climate change? So they're still saying it's climate change because even though people intentionally starting fires. And I don't know if you guys have read it, but they're telling.
It's a big thing. I think they've had to stop blaming it on climate change pretty much because all these people got arrested. Yeah.
Well, if you're in the United States, they're planning on it this year, this summer actually. They're planning on they're telling people to go out and start fires here in the parts of the United States, all around the United States. They're going to plan on doing that. That's their plan. I was reading. I need to find an article again. That's what they're
backburn. The Aborigines did it for thousands of years, quite successfully, without any technology. They kept Australia perfectly habitable for humans. White men come along, and a couple of 100 years later, poof, Australia's on fire.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff sort of gets my attention because again, it's like you can talk about going to space or is the world flat? Is it round? But then you ignore.
Hey, what are you talking about? Sorry.
But it's like then you ignore what's in your face.
Yeah.
Please, but you've got to drink water. You got to eat food, and that is one of the largest reach arounds that there is out there. And I think if people actually look deeply into the subject, particularly about countries not being able to feed their own people on what they produce, people would be shocked. Maybe they'd get pitchforks and run out in the street. I'm not sure.
I think that's what they start doing. I think what they need to do in the United States is anybody in politics needs to be either locked up or strung up on a fucking gallows, and start over. And then the rule is if you even veer off what we need to do for the country or for let's say the world, because everybody wants to include everybody. Okay, here's the rules. If you veer off from this, which everybody has in politics, then your ass is getting strung up. Death needs to be the consequence, not get a fine or pay spend a couple months in jail. That's for the pussies. You need to just get hardcore and get rid of everybody right now and start over from scratch. And I was thinking about that the other day because there won't be no corruption. If you know you get caught in corruption for corruption of any kind, and your ass is gonna get strung up in public too. You're not gonna do that. Versus now they buy their way out of it. There's no buying your way out of this shit no more. That's just my thought.
And
we've got the whole mud flood coming along anyway, so the mud flood's going to reset everything. And it's cool. We're good, man. We're good. That reset's coming. It's happening, man.
This is the whole idea with this media fake news and all this stuff. Because people can't, it's so hard to like wrap your mind around every aspect of what you need to. But the truth is if common people, I don't care who you are, if you actually understood the problems of the world or just your own freaking community, because that's where it should start. It's in the community. If you have a strong community, then you have something. But they take people's mind off that. People would go unbelievably crazy. Talk about mothers understanding. Oh, guess what, moms? The reason why you struggle to get your baby milk is because these guys have been tricking you forever. I'm going to tell you what, there'd be heaps of mamas in the street with pitchforks saying, let's get them, boys. It would be that way.
But the thing too is there's no accountability, and you know it's pushed. That's what the society is pushing. There's no accountability for anybody, because once you have, you own the value of life too. You know, your own life. You know, if you have value of your own life, you have value for everybody else's life. You know, because that's how I feel about things. I don't wish ill will towards anybody, but you know, if you give me a fucking asshole, I'm gonna tell you you're a fucking asshole. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna kill you. But if you're not, out there destroying people, then you need to be stopped. You know, however that may be. You know, but that doesn't mean I want everybody dead. It just means I want people to stop hurting other people. You know, but the no accountability thing is really big because you see that everywhere. You know, it's so subtle that people don't even realize it. You know, and people that don't want accountability, they're all for it because they don't want accountability. I want accountability for myself. You know, that's why I really push for certain things and see certain things because it's like, and that's and I said what you're saying is in the small towns or your city, whatever it is. You'll have accountability because everybody's gonna be looking at what you're doing, and you're gonna have to be accountable for your actions, and good and bad. You know, and if we were looking into stuff like when we first came over here, they used to put people in stockades. You know, the stockades. You know, the things where you have your arms like that. They had them for weeks and months at a time, and the family would have to go and feed them. And bathe them and stuff like that. It was so shocking to realize that they stayed there. They had that shit there. They had to piss there, and their family took care of them, in the town square, because that was a form of shaming that, hey, if you don't want to, you're not going to follow our rules. This is what's going to happen to you. You're going to have to be you're going to have to shit and piss in public. You got to be fed by your family in public, and so it's going to put you in a position that, do you want to do that? Would you want to have that happen? I wouldn't want that to happen to me. I wouldn't want to do that to my family. So there's the accountability right there. And man, it sounds cool. But guess what? Crime wasn't that bad back then.
Yeah, and no, don't get me wrong, but the thing with that is it's whose rules, like whose rules are you accountable to?
If you're stealing from somebody, you need to be accountable for that. If you're hurting somebody else, you need to be accountable for that. That was basically what was extreme stuff like that. I mean, everything else. I mean, what else could there be? And you don't hurt somebody else. You don't steal from somebody else.
Well, all crime is theft, in my opinion.
Is what?
All crime is theft. There is no other crime. There's only theft.
Yeah. Well, as I said, stealing.
You're either stealing somebody's free will, stealing their life, stealing their possession, blah blah blah, whatever it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't go and hurt. Actually, hurting somebody would be obviously killing somebody, raping somebody, beating somebody up. I mean, you need to be punished for that because I don't think people should be beating people up for no reason. Which is really no reason to do it all. But it was extreme cases. They just didn't do it because you were walking down the street, on the wrong side of the street. They didn't throw you in stockades. They would say, "Hey, don't do that," which I don't think they even cared back then. But the point is, it was cases where if you got caught robbing somebody, or killing somebody, or beating your wife, stuff like that, or beating somebody else up, or you're asked for throwing in stockades.
See, there is kind of things that exist like this. I mean, because I've been looking up a bit about Japan lately. They have all these social constrictions about themselves. Like people won't use their mobile phones on public transport and that because it's rude to everyone else. Like they won't eat while walking down the street just in case they drop something on the floor and somebody else has to clean up after them. And Like, don't get me wrong, that kind of site I could imagine living in, because also a lot of the time it's like they're not really paying attention to anything. It's live and let live in a way. Or like when you're in public, yeah, you follow the social constructs, but when you're behind your own closed doors, like they don't care what you get up to, like
Yeah.
like do what you want kind of thing. So yeah,
I absolutely hate it when people are on their phone on the bus. Like, that is one of my biggest pet peeves, especially when I've just finished work and I'm exhausted and I just want to get home, and then there's some woman shouting on her phone. And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
can you not? It's 6 o'clock at night. I want my bed. Be quiet. You know.
How about the people
have you
now?
ever said anything to any of them? Have you ever walked up, taken hold of their phone, hung it up, and given it back to them?
No, because I'm not rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind so much people talking on the phone. It's when they're playing music and it's loud and obnoxious. And like, there's people in Phoenix, it was really bad. It's not so bad here in Alabama, but there are people walking with their phones and then blasting music. You know, and it's all around every store you went, in stores, on anywhere you went, people be blasting music on their phones. It's like put headphones in, motherfucker.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, talking on the phone is fine, but shouting on the phone is completely different. When you hear people when they're talking, do you know? My mum's in the room, and it's usually when there's people that are my mum's age and they think they've got to shout down the phone. It's like, that's why I didn't say you. I said people my mum's age. Goodness me. They're having a little career. My mum is 60 this year.
Okay.
And she's voguing in the mirror right now.
That's funny. Is I know everybody thinks you gotta talk loud in phones. You know, you could be like 10 feet from a phone and talk normal, and they can still hear you.
But you do get the people that are my mum's age that are shouting down the phone, and I'm like, can you not? Like, it's right next to your face. You can just talk as though they're next to you. Like, Dan does it as well. Like, Dan, if Dan wanted to talk to you guys right now, he would like shout over at you, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. That's just me being Irish.
You can hear. I heard him talk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shame.
Have you seen that video about that guy? I want to say it was Japan. It could have been China. He did something like completely retarded. It was illegal, apparently. They brought him in to face like the legal system, and they had this guy like in a chair that almost looked like an electric chair. Oh, I wish I could find it. I looked for it a second ago. Yeah, it's the most bizarre looking thing I've ever seen. So you got this guy that did something, again, that was utterly retarded. Things that I probably do every day. But anyway, they have him in this chair, and he's strapped down like electric chair, and his feet are through these bars. And this is again where we have these issues with punishment. What is ethical punishment? When I agree that there should be, I want to say the word consequences. If you steal, you should have consequences. But we live in this world of like this crazy duality where you see normal consequences for something, and then you see this extreme shit where this guy was just a retard, and he's put in this chair that looks like an electric chair.
Yeah. Is it India and stuff? India, if you get caught stealing, they cut your fucking hand off. You know, and that's the hand you use. So you got to relearn how to do stuff with your other hand. And usually,
sure, not Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that.
No, I think it's in parts of India, not all of India, but it's parts of India. I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, there's videos of them putting their hand out and they're just chopping their hand off, right there, and they go and they don't circulate it. They take a damn hatchet and just plop, cut their damn hand right off and just bandage it up. It's like holy crap! No medical services at all.
Ridiculous. But yeah, Barbie, my issue with punishment is that how do I explain my point here? I don't necessarily think that punishment always fits the crime. And I don't necessarily think that we should be looking in a punishment way. Like you say, it's consequences. So you take this, therefore you have to repay this. The thing is that if you take a mobile phone from a person and you go and sell that mobile phone, you're then going to prison for X amount of years. But I don't think that actually repays the person of whom you've committed that crime to. You're repaying in a system that's probably not going to reform you, probably not going to support you, and probably not going to, I don't think that our justice system does victims justice. I think that it's just this little churny wheel that spits out more convicts than it lets in.
It's not set up to, unfortunately, because again, we've turned crime and justice into a corporation. It's numbers, it's averages. There are no individuals. And
the problem is when you spit out a criminal because they stole something, and I mean like petty crimes. When I talk like this, I don't mean taking somebody's life or paedophilia or rape or bigger crimes. I'm talking petty crimes here. I personally feel that once they've served their time, they're now going to have a grudge. They're going to have they're going to be pretty pissed off that they've just had to serve time. Obviously, there's that saying: if you don't want to if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
If you don't want to do the time.
Yeah. But I just, if somebody steals something, they've then got a record, then they're going to struggle to get a job. How is that actually helping people in the long run? And I mean, especially if somebody's stolen something as an 18-year-old or done something petty as an 18-year-old. No, it's not.
Meant to. The system was literally set up to do exactly what it's done, which is turn people into criminals. So this is the thing, that it's not a conspiracy. Punishment worked. When people were punished, they stopped doing crimes. As soon as we changed this, we reformed the system. We got progressive, and we tried rehabilitation. And
that's another thing about back in the day here in the United States, the colonial times as they call them. When you got caught stealing, because usually it was you were stealing for somebody that had property or something like that. The person that got caught stealing had to work for that person until they paid their due, and maybe a little bit more, because just to add to it. They didn't really go to jail or anything like that. They had that option too, that where they worked off their punishment. So with the person that was the victim, which I was getting back to what you were saying, Cakes, that except for I guess rape and stuff like that, I don't know how you would pay back the victim, how the perpetrator can pay back the victim. But yeah, if you stole property back in the day, you had to work for that person until it was paid off. An agreement. Obviously, there was an agreement of how you would work it off, but that was in fact too, which people stopped doing. Once that state and the government got involved and they became a corporation, like Dee was saying. Now it's just a money making thing.
Yeah, and we're moving away from the whole idea of consequences. I mean, even with
no accountability, there's no accountability for anything.
Even with children, and children do something that they should not. What do? Do you take the child and beat their ass, or do you make them take personal responsibility and give them a consequence for the action, and make them understand, you have done something you shouldn't. There are consequences, and now you must be personally responsible for what you have done. Sometimes I look at
See, I'll give you an example of where parents have gone wrong here. Okay, so I can't remember if it was before Christmas or after Christmas, but this horrible little shit at Freddie's school, my son's school. Now, again, for anybody who didn't hear me last night saying that my son is almost 7, so he's 6 at the moment. One of his peers, who's the same age as my son, pushed my boy onto the ground and sat on him so that he was face down on the floor, right? And he sat on my son. And my son said that his chest was hurting and that his face was hurting on the floor, obviously because he's 6. And this kid is considerably larger than my son as well. He's rather much bigger than my boy. And I text the mom afterwards. I asked Fred what he'd done, and he was like, he got off me because the bell went, and then I stood there and I was crying and I was sad. And the mum I texted the mum and I explained what happened, and the mum turned around and said to me, well, Freddie then scratched my son as well. So and I remember sitting there thinking, well, of course my son scratched your kid. If my son is lying on the floor and he can't get up, of course honestly, if my son had have stood up and punched him in the face, I would not have batted an eyelid, because for me, that there would have been this other kid's consequence. You've hurt somebody else, so I think my son would be well within his rights to stand up and punch him in the face, because, I mean, my son didn't, because he's not all about that. But I just kind of felt, well, you're letting your kid down here by now shifting the blame onto my son. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, I feel sorry for this kid in a way, because he's not learning the consequence and action, or the action and consequence that my son's learning. You know, you do something, whatever you do in life, there is going to be a consequence, you know, and I think we're losing that.
Yeah, again, because give up too much power, like I say, not being funny. Freddie should be that way. He should. What that kid sat on him, he should have reached out, grabbed his nuts, and squeezed them until the boy got off him. Like, I mean,
well, this kid started chewing. Yeah. So Freddie's got long hair. It comes down to his, well, it doesn't anymore because he's had a growth spurt, but it doesn't come down to his butt anymore. I've not cut it, but it no longer reaches his butt. But Freddie's got very, very long hair, and this kid keeps sucking and chewing on Freddie's hair. What just happened?
That's a bit weird.
But his hair?
My hair up.
Oh.
It's getting warm in here, so I had to put my hair up. I started sweating. I had sweat going down my neck. I had to take the jacket off, and
okay. But yeah, so this kid started sucking on Fred's hair, and I was like, well, what have you done about it? And Fred says, well, nothing. I said, you can't be like that, Fred. If you don't like it, it's upsetting you. I said, next time he does it, just push him off you. I said, you don't need to punch him. You don't need to do anything else if that's not what you want to do. I was like, just push him off you. Like, I said, make sure you hold your hair first. Hold your hair and then put, because otherwise, if he's chewing on it, it's going to rip his hair out, isn't it? But make sure you hold your hair and then push. And I got it through to him. I was like, just push him once. You know, you don't need to hit him again, because that's not defending yourself anymore. I was like, defend yourself and then go away and go tell your teacher. Tell your teacher what you've done and tell your teacher what he's done, and it will be fine. And thankfully, I texted the teacher and I was like, this is happening. Can you make it stop? And she saw it happen. And Freddie said the teacher told him off straight away. And I was like, well, that's okay. That means that Freddie doesn't have to, you know, because I don't want him to have to push people and hit people. I don't want him to have to do that.
Part of growing up, standing up for yourself.
It is, but I have told him, and I'm trying to instill that into him, because I don't want, but I also don't want him to bully kids. You know, I don't want another parent.
I can't imagine turning into a bully. Like, it's not as like just because he learns to stand up for himself.
That is like another part of nature as well. Like I was talking about natural cycles earlier. To every action, there is a reaction. Children are the best example of an appropriate response to an action. And then you go around telling people, well, guess what? This reaction is not enough. Let's take this guy by the fucking nuts, drag him through town. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if I can convey this well, but there is a reaction to every action. If someone tells you that they love you and you hug them, that's the reaction. If someone takes your hair and starts sucking on it, you're like, get the feck off me, dude. That's an appropriate, natural reaction.
But see, now I'd have thought that, but I would have expected my son to have pushed him off, you know. But the fact that my son said he did nothing really shocked me, because I've not taught him that. I've not taught him. I've always taught him that if somebody's in your space, you're well within your right to move them from your space.
And
because that's what I
He's
believe.
at school now. You're not the only one teaching him.
And
proof system churning out this little robot, and I don't want that in my boy. I want my boy to be a free thinking, you know, if somebody's in your space, get them out of your space. If you don't want them there, move them, you know.
And this could be the school saying this is how you handle it, or it could just be the individual. And this is a hard thing to understand and to like really isolate and say, is this, what is it? But maybe he's like, look, this guy's sucking on my hair. And he's thinking in his mind, what a pain in the ass he is. However, his reaction is not the same as like one of my kids, because one of my kids would have said, man, get off me, dude. You know, and sometimes you just have to let nature run. But you have to understand what's natural to people. And we are getting to a place where we don't know anymore. You know, when a parent says, yeah, I'm not sure, is it the school? Are they telling him to be passive? Or is he just a passive guy? And it's just in his nature to say.
He never used to be. So I want to bring that back to him. I don't want him to be passive. I want him to stand up for himself. And Dagan's just said, Cake's natural law is suppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's be out of us to just.
Well, maybe next week we'll do the show like on a bit more of the like legal system kind of thing or something.
Yeah, we can do legal system next week. Oh, I've got to
well, if you do that, you better talk about this STKV, because it's totally necessary. But I do have to go because I have my daughter's wee man here, and he's all over the place in there. I can hear him hitting walls, and you know. So sooner or later, I must speak to him. But thank you very kindly.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Barbie. It's been a pleasure as always.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, face just got bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kate's like, yay!
Once I'm used to it, yeah. No, it's fine now. It's all right now. See myself again. Yeah.
You still need a ring light. Not going to look as good as me till then.
Wow.
But yeah, I was getting hot. I had to put my hair up.
You look so different with your hair up.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, my nephews, I have like different pictures and stuff, and it's like within a 2-week period, and they say I'm the man of 1,000 faces because they say I look like I look different every single one of them. I'm like, that
really?
They thought it was over a period of time. I'm like, no, those pictures are like from the last couple of weeks.
That's ridiculous.
So yeah.
The Chameleon. The new nickname, the Chameleon.
The Chameleon.
Vlad
the Chameleon.
That's funny. That's funny. I was talking about that Sega Genesis game called Kid Chameleon.
Oh, yeah, that was in the chat. Was it last night? It was. I can't remember where that was. Yeah, where we did. Yeah, it's Conspiracy Cast now that we're talking about. Yeah, they brought it up, and yeah, it was Kid Chameleon.
Oh yeah,
and yeah.
Kid Chameleon. Yeah.
See, all the old school games. I mean, wow. Yeah.
That's why I remember that. And I said I couldn't play it myself, but I would guide people through it and tell them what to do. It was crazy.
You're a backseat gamer then. Yeah, no, I've never been one for sitting watching people. I was always like, when's my turn? When's my turn? Like,
yeah.
Oh, terrible.
very much me. I'm not a big fan of waiting for the controller. Dan's fine right now. He was bopping along a minute ago. He was bopping away, doing his little dancing again. He's not very good at dancing, are you, dear? Not paying attention. Maybe I've offended him.
That's
weird.
weird.
I did his little Irish jig the other week.
And it was yesterday. I know he's just.
Was it yesterday?
I don't know. It might have been yesterday. I'm not sure. I'm very subdued and placid today because last night just took it out of me. Like I feel like I was on Jed's last night. I feel like I got to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning. I am exhausted. And I'm not too sure whether he was dancing yesterday at all.
Yeah, it was quite interesting yesterday.
Was fun. Why can we only see half of you? What's going on here?
I moved.
Should we all be black?
I moved over.
We'll be black. Oh, there we go. We've gone to the other extreme. Hang on, we can make two faces.
Oh, yeah. Right there.
Hang on. Oh.
I gotta scoot over. You gotta be more parallel with it. There you go.
Hang on. Oh, I can't do it.
Down, Cakes.
I can't come down. I can move up.
No, I'll move mine down up.
Oh, we're almost there. Both there. Perfect. It's Kavlad.
That was creepy. That was freaky looking.
It was Kavlad.
I've got similar pins for that, so it's all good. So yeah, how long do you think you're staying on them YouTubes?
What's that?
Are you back for good now, or?
No, I might just jump on you guys' stuff. I'm not going to be on YouTube my own thing. I'm not going to do my own thing on YouTube.
Will you on Jed's next week?
I might. Yeah, I might. Is he going to have one?
Yeah, it'd be good to see you in the toilet.
Yeah, the toilet. I was like, what the hell is this shit? I tried to watch it. Like, oh crap! The toilet thing. The toilet. I was like, where the hell did you come up with the toilet? Come on.
He gave a good explanation of it, and obviously the scene is from Trainspotting, which is quite a famous movie. A lot of people have seen the movie, and it's where Renton climbs into the toilet to get the suppositories that he just shat out. And he goes into this underwater world. So it's a whole metaphor for going on Jed's show and just climbing into this toilet and going into a different world, basically. So
I get it. Yes, I'd never seen that movie. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Oh, it should be on your watch list. It's well worth the watch. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Not really a fan of what's that? Whoever that guy is in there.
I'm not seeing.
Ewan McGregor's the main star.
That guy.
This is him more like that. I think that was his breakthrough role. So that's more like him because he's Scottish and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah.
No, I've not seen.
I like him. Purely because of Obi-Wan Kenobi. He literally played that role perfectly. He was the perfect Obi-Wan. It was awesome.
Well, check this out. Would you believe me if I told you I've never watched any of the Star Wars?
Me too, Vlad.
Cakes hasn't. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. That came out in 1977, so I was 8 years old when it came out. I
was born. Because it came out in May back in 77, I think it might have been May or March or so. It was earlier on in the year anyway. Now they bring it out later on. So I was born at the end of the year. It was out. So it's like I was born for Star Wars.
Yeah, so you're the same age as my younger sister because she was born in June of 77.
Yeah, I'm 2nd of December. So yeah, I'm right at the end.
See, my birthday is December 12th.
I think if I force myself to watch the early ones that look like shit, I think I could probably watch the newer ones that look like they're better. Do you know what I mean? Like I watched the first one and it was garbage. I hated it. I wanted to kill myself. The acting was diabolical. It was dismal. And they were just on silly little spacecraft things. Not spacecraft, floating bikes, and it just hover bikes, and I just weren't all about that. And there was a weird dick looking guy.
I don't like. I'm a massive Star Wars fan. What the fuck one are you talking about?
As a little kid,
No, the speeder
woman in
bikes would
white.
be Return of the Jedi. It was speeder bikes, and we Return of the Jedi in the
I
woods
don't
with
think it
Ewoks.
was that.
And...
No, it weren't in the woods. There wasn't Ewoks. I know what Ewoks are. Oh, and I don't remember whose chat this was in. It might have actually been Jamie's chat, but you was talking about Ewoks. No, you weren't. It was your chat, and you were talking. You know, I can't remember Ewoks and
Chewbacca?
and I thought the Ewoks were Chewbacca's kids.
No,
That's
Ewoks
what I thought.
are a species of creature, sentient creature that live on the moon of Endor.
You were talking about the Mandela
Chewbacca
effect.
is a Wookiee from the planet of Kashyyyk.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I think I don't know if I had been told that Ewoks were Chewbacca's kids, or if I just assumed that that's what it was. I just assumed that they were the same creatures.
No.
What are they, little midgets? And then Chewbacca was like 7 foot tall, 8 foot tall.
Yeah, the actor was very tall who played him, but I think he even still like had bits inside to make him taller and that. Yeah.
Wasn't he a basketball player sometime?
I couldn't tell. I don't know. I may be a geek, but not quite that geeky. I don't think.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the first one that I watched, it was very deep. There was a little boy. There was a woman in white,
Like
and it was the first. I'm sure it was the first one.
I just found out that because he had died recently, was the guy that played in R2D2 was the actual guy in there. He's the one that played Alf on that TV show Alf. It was the same guy. Well, when he was walk around, and mostly it was a puppet. But when there was walk around scenes, it was the guy that was in R2D2. I just found out recently.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I think he was an English guy.
Yeah, he was a little. I mean, he was only like 3'8" or something.
He was in Time Bandits, I think. If you've ever watched Time Bandits,
Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff. He's doing a lot of stuff, but I didn't know that was the same person.
R2D2, isn't that Warwick Davis? Because Warwick Davis is still very much alive.
Warwick Davis was Wicket. He was one of the Ewoks, and he's been a few other things in Star Wars movies since. But
yeah, he was the what is it called? Leprechaun. He played Leprechaun.
Yeah, the Leprechaun movie, yes. Yeah, and of course Willow. If you haven't watched Willow, you need to watch Willow. That is an all-time classic that needs to be watched.
Well, I know of it. I never watched it, and so I'm not really into those kind of movies. I was always into comedy and stuff like that.
And Harry Potter.
No, I never watched Harry Potter either.
Harry Potter's great.
I've never watched Harry Potter, or at least never watched a full Harry Potter. My kids used to watch it, so I'd walk in at times to scenes, but I've never watched the whole thing all the way through.
Harry Potter is excellent.
I was always a fan of comedy, but now I didn't realize at the time how bastardized and how liberal it really was. So I haven't watched comedy anymore. It's just so disgusting to look back and like, oh my God.
It's like all these stoner movies that come out in early 2000s and onwards. If you look back now, it's just thinking. It's like liberalism.
And they push so much of the gay stuff. It's just shocking. Like it's okay to suck your friend's dick. It doesn't mean you're gay. Well, fuck if it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, everything's a big gay joke. Yeah, everything's a big gay joke nowadays. Like,
yeah, and it even goes back into movies in the 80s and stuff. They have it just so subtle. I mean, it's just maybe one line, but it's still there. It was a precursor to all the stuff that's out now. Because a lot of those Seth Rogen movies, it's so gay. Yeah. Even Adam Sandler stuff is gay. Has gay innuendos in it. I was like, what the fuck? But I guess you're not looking for it. You're just looking for it for a comedy. You kind of whatever, and you just don't even think about it. And so you're really paying attention to it. Because I watched a couple of his older movies recently just to see what I was missing, and I was shocked at how much stuff is in those movies, Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah. What was it? Not really old, but I watched The Man Who Knew Too Little, an old Bill Murray movie. And some of the stuff in that, I was like, oh my God, like this is just nuts what they're putting in.
Which one was it?
Like, The Man Who Knew Too Little.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen that in forever. I have to watch that. I think I've seen that somewhere.
And there's another one as well. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. That was a Chevy Chase, I think. That one was it. Chevy Chase. Possibly. Yeah. That was a little further back than I watched the other one. But
I mean, even like the planes, trains, and automobiles. You know, the scene where Steve Martin and John Candy are in bed. I wouldn't, especially a strange man, I wouldn't even get in bed with a friend of mine. I'd be sleeping on the floor or vice versa. I would not be in the same fucking bed. I'm sorry. I don't think that's good. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. So them to be in there, to me, that's a gay innuendo. I mean, nothing, no gay sex. But look what happened. He's over there. Was he kissing his ear or something at one point? He thought it was
This, where's your other hand? It's between two pillows. They're not pillows.
See, I don't see the issue with two people of the same sex sharing a bed.
Yeah, because you're younger than us and you've been brought up within the agenda. We're slightly before that.
Case. For me personally, I've never, even growing up, I never, and my sisters slept in the same bed with their friends. But we never did that.
The boys didn't. Yeah.
Your friend came over. They slept in your bed, and you slept on the floor because they were at your house. So you
slept on the fucking floor because they were at your house, and you went round their house. You slept on the floor. Like,
I was being nice. I was being nice and let them sleep on my bed, but I slept on the fucking floor.
No, that's what I meant. As a woman, I see no issue with me sleeping in bed with another woman, but. Tansha said nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's a different perspective of things.
Now he's listening.
Yeah.
But a minute ago when I was talking to him, fucking ignored mentioned hello.
He's got control of both his brains with that sentence.
but what I'm saying, Cakes, is there's movies even back in the 80s that had these. To me, that was a gay thing because two men shouldn't have been sleeping in the same thing. You need to be back to back, not cuddling.
Yeah.
The cuddling thing is where it drew the line. What crossed the line? I mean, they're back to back, and the whole time, and they showed that, and that was the thing. Hey, we both want to sleep on the bed. We're opposite sides. There's space, but they were cuddling, and he did correct. I think John Candy was he kissing his ear or something?
Yeah, I'm sure nibbles on his ear, like yeah.
You're like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So you wouldn't feel comfortable sleeping in bed with another man? No.
No, not at all. I wouldn't.
Not even my brother. Not even my brother.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable with your girlfriend sleeping in bed with another girl?
No.
If she, you wouldn't.
No, I would think that was weird.
Okay. What about you, D?
Yeah. Again, females, they do. Yeah. That's part of like more mine and Vlad's programming. The whole women are lesbians, all potentially lesbians thing. Like So men don't have so much of a problem with it. Yeah.
So that was.
I think it was weird.
My next question was.
Oh, you would think it was weird then, would you?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, no. So I wouldn't. So there you go. That's the separation between me and Vlad. Then, yeah. The programming for me obviously came in with being fine.
So my next question was going to be do either of you or have either of you ever watched girl on girl porn?
I've seen it, but that was never my preference. When I watched it,
many times.
I've watched it, but I was like, I'm not really into that. And it was more like individual or the solo stuff or man and woman.
So
I never really, I was really into lesbian stuff.
Traditional relationships. The only reason why I say is because it's always, for me as a woman, it's always been like lesbians are hot, but gay guys aren't. That's like, it's hot if two girls kiss. Like, yes, kiss in front of me, kind of thing. I think that's the social aspect normalizing female and women on women.
Well, yeah, I've known women over the years that they talked about. They said they were okay with two women kissing, but two men they thought it was disgusting. And that was women saying that. I remember women saying like, "Oh, that's gross." Because I went to a design school and there was these two gay guys that were there, and they would be all affectionate in public, at the school, because we were all adults. It wasn't like teenage, and we were all, as a design school, so it was like older people. And but there was just two, and then the women would say shit about it, and then somebody said, "Well, what was two girls?" Like, well, I don't have a problem with two girls kissing. That's just disgusting. Two guys kissing, that's just gross. And that was women saying this. I was like, well, that's weird.
I think that's because of how sexualized women are. I don't see men being, well, I do now. But if you watch movies pre-2000s, I don't see men as sexualized as women were back then. It's more like women. I feel like back then women were more sexual beings.
Men were sexualized, but it didn't have to be a sexy man to be in a sexy role, if you get me. So they weren't sexist. Like it's all people. Chevy Chase, for example, I just mentioned him a minute ago. Like not a good-looking guy. Yeah, but he played some roles where they always get the stunning woman, that real over-sexualized woman, and this is the thing. So yes, men were sexualized, but it didn't take a sexy man to be in that role. Whereas with woman sexualization, it actually takes a sexy woman to be in the role.
Well, the difference is that he wasn't being objectified like the woman was. That was the of it.
Well, it was his male objectiveness, wasn't it? Like obviously men manly and that. Like I mean, all right, he may not have been, but he's part of the breaking down of masculinity as well. He's one of those characters that very much helps to destroy manliness. Yeah.
Well, the earliest film that I can think of where a man has been sexualized is Patrick Swayze in Dirty Dancing. That to me is the early film where I can picturize man shirt top.
James Dean would be the original, wouldn't it?
It was about him being attractive and stuff like that. Now his women want him. Yeah, I can see that. And I'm trying to think of something that would be before that, because that was what, 87?
Yeah, like I say, James Dean maybe before then. I think he may be the original, because he was like the Rebel Without Cause, when he Heartthrob and all that. And that would.
Do you remember what film it was?
Huh?
You can get a picture so I know who you're on about, because I don't know who James Dean is. What film would that have been in?
Well, he died in 1955, I think he died. So
yeah, he's a proper original. The Great Escape is probably one of his most famous ones.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but now everybody's being sexualized in movies and stuff.
So, Madame is going crazy here. I think she wants you to. You've got to watch the Mandela channels. They say some animals are new and are a reality shift, like snails. They are coming out with some bizarre things. I don't think some have been educated on animals. Dee, what do you think of snails being new on this reality?
No, that's just ridiculousness.
People are psychopaths. Hello, Madame. How are you today?
It's just one thing. Have I told you guys my thoughts on the Mandela thing?
Go on, shoot. Tell me.
I think it's people's poor memory, and yes, at a grand scale, there's a lot of people that have poor memory, so their memories could be the same because the similarities are so close that you could have a lot of people thinking the same thing, and that's what I've noticed, because everything that they've said it's changed to, I remember it being exactly just that. And starting out with the Berenstain Bears, because I remember my sister. I was probably my mid-teens, and she was 8 or 10 years old, because we're 8 years apart. And so I was already in my mid-teens and making fun of her because of Berenstain. I used to say bear stain, like bear shit stain. And so I remember it being Berenstain. And then she has his book, and she even thought, because she still has the books, she's sent me HD, and we looked at him, and it says Berenstain, and she's like, whoa. Because she was kind of falling for it. She's like, was it Berenstain? I'm like, no, it's Berenstain. I remember making fun of you because of that. That was where it started. And everything else and all these other ones, I'm like, I remember it being just that. Even the C-3PO, is it C-3PO with the gold?
Silver leg, yeah.
Silver. I remember that because I thought that was weird. I was like, why is that silver? I remember seeing pictures of it, that thing, or even friends having a toy. I was like, is that like a mistake?
Well,
like, why is that like that?
The cop out from the Mandela effect people is, oh, you're from this reality, you're not from the other one.
God, that's so stupid.
no, that's what happens though. But see, most of the Mandela effects, I can write off as bad memory. There are a couple that no, things have changed, but that one, no. Snails, I remember snails.
Even before this was all popular, I mean, there were things I remembered, and it wasn't what I remembered, but I was like, oh, I guess I didn't remember that right. And I didn't think, oh, fuck, somebody went back in time and changed everything to fuck with me.
Well, I never think one. The big one for me is the two bones in your shin. Like you have two leg bones in your lower leg. Like you've got your shin bone and another bone. Well, in my reality, it was just the shin bone, right? And yeah, your heart's now moved over to the center now. The heart used to be over a lot more to the left and that kind of thing. So yeah, I can't completely get on board with it again because of memory, and it's just another one of those distractions. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It kind of does, but not at this level.
When people are being distracted by it and making a big deal about it, yeah, it is something that you need to pay attention to, because a lot of people are caught up in that. And I think of what it is to mess with your own memory, because it's okay to remember the things right, but it is what it is, because there's no way that because my thing is that people went, because it started out as now they've changed a little bit, that people went back in time to alter the past. And there's a kind of residual. It's like, how would there be a residual? Because the past was changed, right? We wouldn't be experiencing that past that got changed, not what was changed or what wasn't changed. How would that even happen? Because that crossed that in the whole time travel. I don't believe in time travel anyways, but even if you did, you would remember what was last, not because it wouldn't be no last, because it would have been changed to a point where you wouldn't know any different, but what you know now.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too. That's the catch to it all. It's like you wouldn't know it. Like, it's the residual effects beforehand. It's like, well, how does that make any fucking sense?
Yeah. Due to most people's understanding of how things work, Mandela effect doesn't fit in. Like I say, when you get beyond, it can fit in. There is a place for it in reality, but again, that's probably a subject for never.
But yeah, you can bring up anything, and I guess I have no proof other than my own memory, but I can say I remember being exactly what people are saying you got changed to.
You belong here, Vlad. You're a newbie. You from here, Vladdy. Yeah.
But to be fair, that being said, I wouldn't mind going through the Mandela effect. I wouldn't mind going through what people.
Well, maybe next week instead of law, we'll do Mandela effect, because to be fair, that is it's a popular topic. People can have fun with it. It's not too serious. Yeah.
Not in a serious way, but in a lol kind of way. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you have a lot of people. And everybody's gonna have a bad memory. Not everybody does, but people do. And I say all it is a grand scale of it all. And you gotta really look at that. Nobody wants to think about that. They want to think somebody changed it to fuck with us. It's like they're gonna change the names of stuff. Like why would they change the events? And we don't know about, like how okay, so we recognize things, we recognize things that changed other than a Mandela thing, because everybody thought he died years ago, which he spent 35 years in prison, and he got out and lived another 15 years, I think it was. But everybody thought he died in prison. Everybody thought he died in prison. I remember the whole thing, because I remember when all that happened, when they were going to let him out at one point, and they never did, and then he ended up spending more time in prison, and he finally got released. So I remember all that, because I was a teenager then. I think it was back in the 80s when all that happened. But it was
I remember. No, I do remember having the assembly in the 90s for his funeral. That's another thing. So
so it's like 2008 or something, right?
No, it's back in the early 90s. I can't remember exactly when.
Let me look it up.
But anyway, like I say, it's just one of these things. But yeah, so for next week, everyone, bring your best Mandela effects our way.
Yeah, bring them. And that's what we shall do.
Oh, E.T. said, I'll be back, and now it's Arnie. Who said it? They both could have. That's the point.
He died in 2013.
So he actually died. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he actually died. Yeah, 2000. Yeah, but this is what I mean.
He died when he was in prison. He didn't die when he was in prison. I mean, he was in there for 35 fucking years or something like that. But then he got out and then lived another 15 years or something before he died.
Yeah. It was all quite a shock to me finding out he'd been president of South Africa and all this kind of shit. Yeah. But again, I remember the guy at the Tiananmen Square. This is another big Mandela effect thing. The Tiananmen Square, where the guy stands in front of the tank. I remember him getting run over. So.
No,
Yeah, I thought he was dead. When he died, I was shocked that he had died because I thought he was already dead.
Who the guy?
Oh,
Who?
Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Sorry,
so
I'm still there. Yeah, I'm still over there.
Yeah, 'cause that was only what 7 years. That was only 7 years ago.
Yeah, and when he died, I was like, what? I thought he was already dead.
They died just so 6 years ago.
People probably mistook his release date for his funeral. It looked the same on the news. If people aren't really taking much notice.
Yeah, the Tiananmen Square.
It was a whole assembly, the whole of our primary school, like.
When the Tiananmen Square thing you're talking about, didn't the guy just fall on the ground and then the tank go over top of him, but not kill him? Right? Is that what happened?
Like I say, to be fair, that one, I mean, I would have to chalk up to poor memory because I'm now wondering whether it was primary school or first year secondary school, and I can't even remember that.
Because remember, the tank, the wheels are on one side, and there's that gap in between. I think that's why he laid down, and the tank rolled over top of him, but he didn't get killed because the tank was just over top of him. And then they cut the picture, and they act like he got ran over. And I was like, that was in the middle of the tank. I remember that too. I was in my 20s then, and that was in the early 90s.
No, because in the Tiananmen Square one, the tank actually swerves and moves around him and everything, doesn't it? And he keeps walking in the way. Well, in my memory, he stood there, and they just barrel him down. No veering off, no nothing.
He ends up laying down at one point, and then the tank goes over top of him, but he doesn't run him over because the center of the tank it doesn't touch the ground. He didn't run him over with the tracks because he was in the middle of it.
Again, yeah, that could be poor memory on my part, seeing it just as a kid and remembering the gory parts.
Yeah. Well, they made it implied that he got ran over because I remember that. It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right.
So we've just hit 11 o'clock, and I know both me and Dee are absolutely shattered.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I am. I think with this light, you can probably see my eyes are sagging.
So it's 2 hours right now. 2 hours.
Yeah. And we So thank you guys. Oh, Vlad, any finishing remarks?
Just everybody join my bitch shoot.
We'll stay live for a second, and I'll quickly put your link back in. Yeah. So chat amongst yourself for a second, or you want to sum up, Cakes?
Well, so if any of you guys don't know, Vlad disappeared a few moons ago, many moons ago, to go and make BitChute. BitChute is a less censored version of YouTube, as we discussed at the end of last night's video, so feel free to go check that one out. And Vlad's pretty much posting daily, aren't you, Vlad?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 days.
Ton of videos. Yeah. So go check him out there. Dee will pop the link in a minute. Unless anything big comes up in the news, we'll talk about Mandela next week. But like I say, we want to kind of talk about things that have been in the news, discuss whether they're real, discuss kind of what we think is going behind there, and kind of pool in all of our information, really. So if there's nothing big in the news, will be Mandela. If it is something big in the news, will be that, basically.
Yeah.
The only thing that was big this week was still Harry and Meghan, and them losing his and her Royal Highness status. So he'll still be called Prince Harry. We just won't call him His Royal Highness Prince Harry.
And we kind of breached a little bit on this last week as well, so it wasn't really worth making the subject, was it? And the only real other big thing was the Max Egan thing, and I didn't think you'd know enough about him to really want to make a show of it. So
Jen's here. What up, Jen? I remember in old reality, Vlad had helicopter. I know I mentioned this last night, madam. I was like, Vlad, where's your go-go gadget hat?
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen. I'm on the kitchen table looking out to the backyard, or the slide door, I should say. And that's over there in the living room. I might do it next time. I might go. It's right above the fireplace mantle. That's where I had to sit, and so I could stand up. Because sitting down, it starts hurting my back after a while. So I had it saw standing up, and then the ceiling fan just happened to be right where my hand was at. I was like, oh, that was weird.
Really funny.
I didn't do that on purpose. That was completely by accident.
You gotta love those little synchronicities.
No, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone,
Amazing.
hit that link I've just put in the chat. That'll get you over to Vlad's channel on BitChute. Hit him a sub and make your own channel over there. I mean, get ready because they're going to be doing live apparently this year. So get ready for it, guys. Don't be left behind on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yes,
Well,
you
thanks
too.
again, everyone. Thank you for being here. Be good. Don't die. Yeah. Chuckles.
Yeah, right. No, that's yeah. Thank you ever so much for coming, guys. You kindly covered it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Thank
catch
you.
next week.
Bye.
Later.